he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Unto you, forgive our tardiness. Once again, we ask that you pray with us and pray for us. For whatever reason, our internet is still giving us trouble. I don't know why, but we will continue to move forward and push forward. But please, we ask that you pray with us. Once again, because of the things that are taking place, it is a possibility that because we are teaching, singing, and praising and lifting up the name of Abba Yahuwah, this is why our internet is under fire. And so I do solicit your prayers as we continue to move forward, because every time we get ready to go on, we're having so many problems logging on. And so I just ask that you pray with us. But I pray that thus far that everyone has had a great Yom, and that you are coming in expecting, ready to receive from the Abba. You have your cup out, you have your heart open, you have your mind ready to receive the instructions of the Abba on this Layla. Once again, we want to say Baruch Atah and welcome to Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom, a Hebraic Belief congregation that is located in South Carolina. We want to begin with the Baruch of the Torah. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right, repeat with me. Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
For all eternity.
For all eternity.
Baruch Atah.
Baruch Atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
And gave us his Torah.
And gave us his Torah.
Baruch Atah.
Baruch Atah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Baruch Atah.
Baruch Atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
And implanted eternal life within us.
And implanted eternal life within us.
Baruch Atah.
Baruch Atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Now we have the reading of the Ten Commandments done by Mattathias. And it is so.
And it is so.
The ring, 5th chapter, 6th verse to the 22nd verse. Aleph. I am Yahuwah, your power was brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the bed of slavery. Bet you shall have no other power before me. You shall not make you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in Shemayim above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the mind beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself unto them or serve them, for I, Yahuwah, your power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that hate me, and keep my commandments. Gemel, you shall not take the name of Yahuwah, your power, and falsify it, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name and enters it. Dalit, guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahuwah your power has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah your power. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your foreigner that is within your gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahuwah your power brought you out of there through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yahuwah your power commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Hey, esteem your Abba and your image, Yahuwah your power has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahuwah your power is about to give you. 1, you shall not murder. Zain, neither shall you commit adultery. Ket, neither shall you steal. Tet, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. You, neither shall you desire your neighbor's issue, neither shall you covet your neighbor's bed, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahuwah was spoken to all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone and delivered them unto me. And it is so.
And it is so. And it is so. Devarim chapter 6, verses 1 through 18. And it reads, these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah your power commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you are going to enter and possess it, that you might fear Yahuwah your power to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the yamim of your life, and that your yamim may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yasharal, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily as Yahuwah power of your Abbas has promised you, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Shema Yasharal, Yahuwah our power, Yahuwah is Akkad. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our supreme one, Yahuwah is Akkad. And you shall ahab Yahuwah your supreme one with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words which I command you this yom shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your bed, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. To fall to what?
Bind to the mind.
To bind to the mind. Very important that we understand that. Bind it to your mind.
That's right.
Verse 9. And you shall write them upon the posts of your bed and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahuwah your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov, to give you great cities which you did not build, houses full of all great things that you filled not, and wells dug that you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you shall have eaten and be full, then beware lest you forget Yahuwah, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bed of slavery. You shall fear Yahuwah your power, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after the power of the people which are round about you. For Yahuwah your power is a jealous power among you, lest the anger of Yahuwah your power be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahuwah your power as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahuwah your power, and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahuwah, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the great land which Yahuwah swore to your fathers. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. Let us have another song, please. Go ahead. Baruch Yahuwah Oh, my soul, and all that is within me, Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me, I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will Baruch your name. 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. your name. I will baruch your name. I will baruch your name. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. Oh, my soul, and all that is within me. I will baruch your name. 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 Come on, baruch his wonderful name. Baruch his wonderful name. Allah Yahuwah, Allah Yahuwah. Baruch his name. Baruch his name. Baruch his name. He's a wonderful Savior, wonderful Savior. We baruch him for yet another Layla, another opportunity to commemorate, celebrate, and give him praise for the opportunity to celebrate our Sabbath rest that is on the horizon. We appreciate him, and that's just a phrase. We appreciate him, and we baruch him for all that he's doing, all that he's done, and all that he's yet going to do. Once again, we appreciate him for bringing us back to this place safe, without incident, accident, without hurt, harm, and danger. In our right mind, desiring to serve him, in our right mind, desiring to do all that he's placed in us, to worship him, to esteem him, to listen, to be participants, to be active in the very things that he has given unto us, his people.
Yes, that's right.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Now let us turn our attention to Yahus, the son of Nun, chapter 1, and we're going to look at verses 7 and 8. We're going to read verse 7, and then we're going to confess verse 8. Verse 7, only be you strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to the Torah, which Moshe my servant commanded you. Turn not from it to the right nor to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. Verse 8, as I have tailored it to fit our time of personal confession, repeat with me. I will not let this scroll of the Torah.
I will not let the scroll of the Torah
depart out of my mouth.
depart out of my mouth.
But I shall meditate in it.
But I shall meditate in it.
Yom and Layla.
Yom and Layla.
That I may observe to do.
That I may observe to do.
According to all that is written in it.
According to all that is written in it.
For then I shall make my way prosperous.
But then I shall make my way prosperous.
And then I shall act wisely.
And then I shall act wisely.
Now look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, you shall act wisely.
And you shall act wisely.
Look at your other neighbor and tell your other neighbor, and you shall act wisely.
And you shall act wisely.
Take your hand and place it over your heart and say, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
Come on, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
I am determined.
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
I am determined.
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
Come on, I am determined.
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And
It
it
is
is so.
important that we act wisely every Yom and every Layla of our lives. And it is so.
And it is so.
Let us have another song, please.
I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went running when they said unto me, I went running when they said unto me, I went running when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went running when they said unto me, I went running when they said unto me, I went running when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went rejoicing when they said unto me, I went rejoicing when they said unto me, I went rejoicing when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went rejoicing when they said unto me, I went rejoicing when they said unto me, I went rejoicing when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went praising when they said unto me, I went praising when they said unto me, I went praising when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went praising when they said unto me, I went praising when they said unto me, I went praising when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went shouting when they said unto me, I went shouting when they said unto me, I went shouting when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went shouting when they said unto me, I went shouting when they said unto me, I went shouting when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I went shouting when they said unto me, I went shouting when they said unto me, I went shouting when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah. I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, I was glad when they said unto me, come let us go into the house of Yahuwah.
abomination, hateful, and exceedingly offensive unto you, Abba Yahuwah, but the prayer of the upright, it is your delight. Romaiah 14, 17, and 18. For the kingdom of Yahuwah is not meat and drink, but uprightness and shalom and joy in the Ruach HaKodesh. For he that in these things serve Yahush is acceptable to Yahuwah and approved of men. And it is so.
And it is so.
Mishlei 3 and 4. So shall you find great understanding and high esteem at the sight of judgment of Yahuwah and man. And it is so.
And it is so.
Tehillim 1 and 1. Baruch is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the unrighteous, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the instructions of Abba Yahuwah, and he doth meditate upon it, Yom and Layla, and it is so.
And it is so.
Ibram 11 and 6. But without belief it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahuwah must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And it is so.
And it is so.
Tehillim 34 and 15. The eyes of Yahuwah are upon the upright, and his ears are open unto our cry. Verse 17. The upright, the Ruach HaKodesh is come upon you, and you shall be witnesses unto him, or unto me, both in Jerusalem and all Judea, and in Shamar, and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. This is talking about Yahush, our Mashiach, and it is so.
And it is so.
Ayah 33 and 4. The Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. Somebody say he is a life giver.
He's a life giver.
Say it again like you mean it. He is a life giver.
He is a life giver.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Micah 3 and 8. But truly I am full of power by the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah, and of judgment and of might, to declare unto Yaakov his transgression, and to Yahshua all his sin. And it is so.
And it is so.
Yehukanan Aleph, 2, 5, and 6, and it reads, But whoever guards his Torah, truly the Ahab of Yahuwah has been perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. The one who says he lives in him ought himself also walk even as he walked. It's important we understand that. Self-explanatory.
That's right.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Yehukanan Aleph 5, starting at verse 3, starting at verse 2, all the way to 15. By this we know that we Ahab, the children of Yahuwah, when we Ahab Yahuwah and guard his commands. For this is the Ahab for Yahuwah, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not difficult. Because everyone having been begotten of Yahuwah overcomes this world, or the world. And this is the overcoming that has overcome the world, our belief.
That's right.
Who is the one who overcomes the world? But he who believes that Yahush is the son of Yahuwah. Question. This is the one that came by water and blood. Yahush Mashiach. Not only by water, but by water and blood. And it is the Ruach who bears witness, because the Ruach is the truth. Because there are three who bear witness, the Ruach and the water and the blood. And the three are in agreement. Somebody say in agreement.
In agreement.
If we receive the witness of men, the witness of Yahuwah is greater, because this is the witness of Yahuwah, which he has witnessed concerning his son. The one who believes in the son of Yahuwah has the witness in himself. The one who does not believe Yahuwah has made him a liar, because he has not believed the witness that Yahuwah has given concerning his son. And this is the witness that Yahuwah has given us, eternal life. And this life is in his son. He who possesses the son possesses life. He who does not possess the son of Yahuwah does not possess life. I have written this to you who believe in the name of the son of Yahuwah, so that you know that you possess everlasting life. And so that you believe in the name of the son of Yahuwah. And this is the boldness that we have in him, that if we ask whatever according to his desire, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him. and it is so.
And it is
It's
so.
very important that we understand. Now you have to understand it's not just our belief, but it is our belief that is wrapped up in our actions.
That's right.
Because if we believe, then we're going to ask him. And if we ask him, that means that we believe him.
That's right.
And it is so.
And it is so.
So it's important for us to not give way to the enemy through doubt and disbelief and even despair when trouble comes about. It is important that we hold on and not let go and show Abba Yahuwah that we believe in him and that we know that he's able and that there is no failure in him. There is no shadow of turning in him. Because once he has pronounced a thing and once he has done it, nothing the enemy can do to overturn it. But we can walk away from it. And just because we walk away from it doesn't mean that it makes what he has said or done null and void.
Right.
It just means that you're going to pay double because you basically rejected what he has given. And so it's important that we not reject these things, but that we follow in the instructions that he's given unto us, his children. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right. We're going to begin with the affirmation. Then from our affirmation, we're going to do our declaration. Very important. I always try to encourage those that listen, whether you're listening now while we're live or whether you will come back and listen later. It is important that we maintain our consistency regardless of what we may be feeling, regardless of what we may be going through in our minds, our hearts, our souls, even in our physical bodies. It is important that we maintain our consistency and we fight the great fight of belief.
That's right.
Never let anything and anyone overthrow your belief in Abba Yahuwah through his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the enemy's ploy and this is his desire, and it has been his goal and his plan for centuries. We are not the first that he has attacked, and we will probably not be the last.
Right.
But it is important that even though he attacks us, how we come out of those attacks.
Right.
What do we do while we're in those attacks? Well, the bottom line is you still got to maintain your consistency.
That's right.
You don't stop, you maintain. And the thing of it is we've got to make sure we have grounded ourselves in his instructions.
That's right.
And so it's important that we do so. And our affirmations help us to do that. You wonder why we come into class the way we do, why we stay long hours in class. And no, we have not given up, and I've not given up on my weekly classes. We got things that we're doing, not because we're putting it before the Abba, but we're making preparations for the feast.
Right.
But you wonder why we do the things we do. It is because we believe him and because we want to make sure that our belief is strong and healthy.
That's right.
And we're not just being surface believers.
That's
You
right.
got to be able to go deep. If we don't go deep, we will be what? Shallow. And I refuse to be a shallow believer,
That's right.
because he didn't give up his life for naught. He gave it up so that we could live to live again. And so it's important that we not be shallow, but we be people of depth.
That's right.
That we be people of depth in his word and in the knowledge of who he is and praise and these things. Why? Because you have to understand we've got to live because we know we're going to live again.
That's right.
And so it's important that we understand these things. And this is why we have our affirmations, because everything we do, especially concerning these times, it is so that we can develop and not just grow.
Yes.
And not just grow and not develop. I'm going to say this and then we're going to do our confession. Midgets develop, but they don't grow.
That's right.
They develop a hard brain. That's why sometimes you see them with a full-size head. And I'm not saying it to make fun of them or to make light of, what's going on with them. But this is why you'll see them many times with a full-grown head, but their bodies do not match the size of their heads. It's the truth. Look at a midget. Midgets come in all shapes, sizes, and all colors. But you see where the head develops, but the body does not. The arms are small like a child's arm. The legs are small like a child's leg. It's just the way they are proportioned is just really, I will say, unique. It is.
That's right.
But the reason why is because they grow, but they don't develop. And then there are those that develop but don't grow. So you have to see why we do what we do, because we don't want to be living this life and physically we look grown or we look developed and like we're growing, but our ruach looks deformed,
Right.
and we look like either midgets or we look like those that have Down syndrome.
Right.
Because our belief hasn't taken root and because we're not developing in our belief. It doesn't matter what a person looks like, and understand what I'm saying, on the outward appearance. What matters is what's going on the inside, because the inside, the outside is going to be a reflection of what's taking place on the inside.
That's right.
And so it's important that we understand that. So I'm not saying get out there and do any and everything and look any and every kind of way. No, I'm not saying that, and neither am I endorsing that.
Right.
But I am saying we've got to be able to go beyond a lot of the cosmetics.
Right.
That what people look at and say, man, I know they got to be walking in belief because they just look like it. Looks can be very deceiving.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's true.
They really can. And so we don't want to be deceivers. We look one way, but then on the inside, we can't, we ain't meeting it. We ain't matching up to it. And so this is why we keep a conscious contract with ourselves to always remember why we do what we do.
Right.
And it is so.
And it is so.
All right, repeat with me. I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I am born again.
I am born again.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I have the life and nature
I have the life and nature
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
That life is the Torah
That life is the Torah
of Yasharal.
of Yasharal.
I purpose to walk
I purpose to walk
in the Torah of life.
in the Torah of life.
Yahuwah's Torah,
Yahuwah's Torah,
Yahush,
Yahush,
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's knowledge
Yahuwah's knowledge
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's wisdom
Yahuwah's wisdom
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's ahab
Yahuwah's ahab
is in me.
is in me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is leading me.
He is leading me.
He is leading me.
He is leading me.
I am a child
I am a child
of Yahuwah.
of Yahuwah.
The Ruach
The Ruach
HaKodesh
HaKodesh
of Yahuwah in me
of Yahuwah in me
is leading me.
is leading me.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll follow her lead.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll walk in the Torah.
I'll walk in the Torah.
Yahush,
Yahush,
our Mashiach.
our Mashiach.
And it is so.
And it is so.
I know many people get nervous and get scared, and even people have walked away because they feel like, well, how can you say that the Ruach HaKodesh is feminine? How can you say she's a man? And this has nothing to do with gender wars and fighting one another over gender.
Mm-hmm.
But when you begin to look at wisdom, wisdom is characterized and is shown as being feminine. This is how you understand we even as women, we are still taught to hate anything that resembles, or we even resemble or look like, because we feel like, well, it can't be, because if it's a woman, then something got to be wrong with it. Why something has to be wrong? Why it can't be right? That's because of the way we were taught. That's because of the way we were made to believe that everything up in Shemayim is male. But when he said, let us make mankind in our own image, he said, let us make male and female, meaning that he made male and female because there was an image of female. And it's not that he had to look in himself and pull a woman out. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So it's important that we understand and we not get squirmish and we not get scared because we say we'll follow her leading. Why will we follow her leading? Because she is the one leading us. Why? Because Yahuwah put her in place to lead us. Very important. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. So we ahab him and we appreciate him for what he's doing, what he's done, and what he's yet going to do. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And it is so.
And it is so.
All right, at this time, we're going to do our declaration. This declaration is for healing and it is for shalom. When Abba Yahuwah gave it to me, he gave it to me to speak it into the atmosphere, and I speak it into the atmosphere. Why? Because it is important that we understand that prayers do change things, and not just things, but lives. Mm-hmm. And prayer is alive. Prayer is supposed to be an active part of our lives. not a dormant part. We don't just pray when things are rough. We don't just pray when things are bad. We pray because it is our means of communicating with the Abba. And so we ought to always pray and not faint. When we pray, it'll give us a greater relationship and a greater understanding of our responsibility and obligation to Him. And it is so.
And it is so.
Repeat with me, Abba Yahuwah.
Abba Yahuwah.
In the name of Yahush.
In the name of Yahush.
Our Mashiach.
Our Mashiach.
We subdue ignorance.
We subdue ignorance.
With Torah knowledge.
With Torah knowledge.
And through this knowledge.
And through this knowledge.
Of Torah truth.
Of Torah truth.
We claim healing.
We claim healing.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Deliverance.
Deliverance.
And salvation.
And salvation.
We decree.
We decree.
Torah truth.
Torah truth.
In the lives.
In the lives.
Of your people.
Of your people.
Our people.
Our people.
Yasharal.
Yasharal.
We unite.
We unite.
Not to fight.
Not to fight.
Not to fight.
Not to fight.
Each other.
Each other.
Each other.
Each other.
But the enemy.
But the enemy.
Of our belief.
Of our belief.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. We must always remember, no matter how we may differ, no matter how we may have difference of opinions, difference of interpreting the writings, we are still not one another's enemies. That we may not agree on everything and how everything is to be interpreted, but we're still not enemies. And it is so.
And it is so.
As we come to this portion to bow before our King, let us bow. And as we take a few moments to reflect and retrospect, we don't want to just be repeating something, being parrots, being mockingbirds, but we want to truly pray and we want to recite this from our sincere heart, because I don't know about you, but this is from the sincerity of my heart. Everything I do, I want it to be acceptable in His sight. And if it is not, I want Him to reveal it to me, because I don't want to be walking in error. I want to walk in truth. I didn't leave one way of error to come into this and walk in error. I came into this because I want a relationship, genuine relationship with the Abba. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right, let us recite this together. May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. We have just recited Tehillim 19 and 14. You may be seated in His presence. And it is so.
And it is so.
Once again, we appreciate the Abba for what He's doing, what He's done, and what He's yet going to do, as we're supposed to be walking into the spring season, making preparations for Passover. Pull it up some, Jonathan. Making preparations for the spring feast for Passover. I pray that everyone is making that can, that you are making your arrangements to be a part of this great celebration, because it is mandatory that we be in this. And so I pray that you are making preparations, and I pray that the Abba will smile on you, and He will baruch you for your endeavors and for walking in truth and doing what He has said to do. Once again, I pray that everyone has had an awesome time on this Yom, coming into the Layla, as we come with an open heart and as we come with an open mind. Excuse me. Ooh. Excuse me. Ooh, ready to receive from the Abba on this Layla. Ready to receive His instructions for our lives. Once again, I just want to encourage you to keep your head up, keep your shoulders squared, keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because you can't go wrong when you keep Him first. And when we keep Him first, we can't go wrong. And so, once again, just to encourage your hearts on this Layla, we want to turn our attention to our attention to Shema chapter 6, and we're going to begin with verse 2. And our theme on this pre-Shabbat, as we make preparations for the Shabbat, is Waera, and it means "and I appeared." And I appeared. And once again, our theme is Waera, and I appeared. Shema chapter 6, beginning at verse 2. And we're going to read, let's read 9 verses. Let us read 9. I'm excited about what Abba Yahuwah is going to say to us in this. Come on, sorry.
And it is so. Shemot chapter 6, beginning at verse 2. Yahuwah also said to Moshe, I am Savior. I appeared to Abraham, Yasek, and Yaakov as Yahuwah Almighty, but I didn't reveal myself to them by my name. Yahuwah. I also set up my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, where they lived as immigrants. I've also heard the cry of grief of the Yasharites, whom the Mitzrayim have turned into slaves. And I remembered my covenant. Therefore say to the Yasharites, I am Yahuwah. I bring you out from Mitzrayim for slavery. I'll rescue you from your slavery to them. I'll set you free with great power and with monumentous events of justice. I'll take you as my people, and I'll be your Savior. You will know that I, Yahuwah, am your power, who has freed you from Mitzrayim for slavery. I'll bring you into the land that I promised to give Abraham, Yasek, and Yaakov. I'll give it to you as your possession. I am Yahuwah. 9. Moshe told this to the Asherites, but they didn't listen to Moshe because of their complete exhaustion from their hard labor. Then Yahuwah said to Moshe, Go and tell Pharaoh, Mitzrayim's king, to let the Asherites out of his land. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, as we look into this a little deeper, let's look at verse 2 again. And I have 2 places we're going to look at that. And Power spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am Yahuwah. Verse 3, and I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov as El Shaddai, the mighty power. But my name, Yahuwah, was not known to them. Now, when you look at the mighty power, there's 2 things that we're going to look at. We're going to look at it from the Abrahamic covenant, and we're going to look at it also from the Torah portions, from the Torah portion scroll. All right. Excuse me. I am Yahuwah, and the tetragrammaton is employed in scripture to denote Yahuwah as the dispenser of reward. That is, we can see that in Waera 22 and 31. And punishment, that is also in Waera 19 and 12. Here it is used as an assurance of reward to those who remain loyal to Yahuwah. Yahuwah has the power to fulfill the promise he made. He is the essence of all existence, and nothing can exist without his will. Very important for us to understand this. Why? Because I know in the hour and in the time that we're living in, as the heat is being turned up, it can become frustrating. It can become challenging. I have never said hard, and I will never say that it is hard living for Abba Yahuwah, but it can become challenging, and it can become at times not frustrated with Abba Yahuwah, but you can't become frustrated with people.
That's right.
You can't. We can become frustrated with our own selves. And so the importance of understanding what is being said here is that he is saying this to assure them. Now, mind you, remember their condition. They're working. They're being worked so hard that they're being worked to exhaustion. They're being overworked. They're being treated like what? Slaves. Right. Slaves don't get breaks. Slaves don't get lunch breaks. Slaves don't get breaks until it's time for them to go home and the next person comes in.
Right.
And that's probably about a few minutes of rest, get you something to eat, and then boom, you right back on the line. So you have to understand the conditions they were in and why it was necessary and why Abba Yahuwah felt it necessary to assure our people that this is not the end.
Right.
This is not the end. Excuse me. And so this is what is being said to him. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Now, it's in, I read it in that. Now the text uses power or Elohim. I'm going to read this instead of the usual Adonai because it signifies a divine attribute of justice. Moshe is rebuked for his question. Wherefore hast thou dealt ill with this people in verse 22. Unto Moshe, this was addressed to Moshe in Mitzrayim. Now, when we look over here in the Abrahamic covenant scrolls, we see that this is who is being, it's the same thing, but we're going to look at the definition or the interpretation. And power spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am Yahuwah. Now, when we go into verse 3, which is still a part of verse 2, he said, and I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov as El Shaddai, the mighty power, but by my name, Yahuwah was not known to them. The mighty, powerful breast that feeds as the breast of a mother. Now, you will hear, if anybody is familiar with Christianity, you will know that in Christianity, they will call him the multi-breasted one. But you have to also understand Ishtar is also known as the multi-breasted one. Because when you look at Ishtar, also known as Easter, you see that this deity has not just two, but multiple rows of breasts, which gives it or qualifies it to be called the multi-breasted one. But in Yashayah 66:13, it says that he is the mighty powerful breast that feeds as the breast of a mother. Breast meaning singular and not multi-breasted. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Because even when you talk about a mother breastfeeding, you understand it's only speaking of two. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Because okay, we'll leave that alone. But anywho, all right. Chapter 66 and verse 13. Let's see. Verse 12. For thus said Yahuwah, see, I am extending shalom to her like a river, and the esteem of the Gentiles like a flowing stream. And you shall feed, you shall be carried on the side and be fondled on her knees. As one whom his mother comforts, so I comfort you. And in Jerusalem, you are comforted. Comforted just as a baby when a baby is hungry. Are you following me?
Yes.
This is how baby is comforted, by nursing. All right. Now that's in Yashayah 66 and 13. Now we're going to look over here and we're going to compare it. I appeared, Yahuwah revealed himself to the patriarchs in a vision at night. Yahuwah Almighty. The name El Shaddai signifies irresistible power. Or creator of all existence. Scripture uses El Shaddai in connection with the promise made by Yahuwah to the patriarchs in order to give assurance of its fulfillment, although it be delayed. So this is why when we see these names, and this is why it's very important that we not use generic names or generic titles, because we take away from the significance of who he is. And at that time, what was being given or what was being conveyed when you strip him of his name and even of that description of who he is at that time. Right. So just to put God all through the writings really does a disservice to him as being our covenant keeping power. And it also basically puts us in a position to where we are really not assured. But when a person tells you it's a done deal and you see their name, you know, okay, they're not playing. Anytime contracts, anybody knows anything about contracts, When you come into a contract agreement with someone, you don't use nicknames. You don't use pet names. You have to use the name that is legal. So when that contract is signed, it is binding.
Right.
And that's what gives a person assurance that it may take me a couple of years, but I promise you, I'm coming out, because if I have to sue you, I'm getting what belongs to me.
Right.
And so this is important that we understand this. Are y'all following?
Yes.
All right. Now, this is what gives it to us through this. Now, let's look over here. We're going to go back and look over here in the Abrahamic covenant. And the reason why is because I want to compare the interpretation concerning verse 2 and 3. Now, verse 3, once again, over here, Abraham knew Yahuwah by name since he built an altar to Yahuwah, Bereshit 12 and 8. So here Yahuwah asked a rhetorical question. By misapplying the comma in the text, the interpreters made it look like Abraham did not know the name, but this was not the case. So we hear and we see two different interpretations of even verse 3. Now, as I read to you from the Torah portions that I have, it says that Yahuwah basically rebuked him because he asked him the question. But then when you look in the Abrahamic covenant scrolls, he said because of the misplacing of a comma, it makes you believe that he was asking him the question instead of basically reciting it. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And it's not that Abraham did not know, and I concur with that, because it would be silly for Abraham not to know who he was talking to when we see in the writings that he cut covenant with Abraham.
Right.
He cut covenant with him. And so this is important for us to see and be able to acknowledge as well. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Let's look at Bereshit 12 and 8. Let's do that. That way we can put scripture on it, which is Genesis. Let's look at Genesis, Bereshit 12 and 8.
Read this up.
All right, read that for me.
Bereshit chapter 12, verse 8. From there he traveled toward the mountains east of Bethel, and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to Yahuwah and worshipped in Yahuwah's name. And it is so.
And it is so. So if he didn't know his name, how could he worship in his name?
Right.
Once again, it's important that we see and we are to identify when there are discrepancies so that we don't follow along in those same discrepancies and say, well, Abraham didn't know. No, Abraham was fully aware of his name.
Come on.
Once again, very important we understand commas, we understand semicolons, colons, and periods.
Right.
Yes.
Because if we don't, it can cause us to see things in a different manner. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right. Excuse me. I made me not known. Scripture does not say I did not make my name known, but I was not known. So literally, Yahuwah did not reveal himself to the patriarchs by the name, which signifies keeping belief, because the promises were not fulfilled in their lifetime. But to Moshe, he did so reveal himself when he declared, I am that I am, since his word was about to be accomplished. Now, once again, that is one interpretation of it. Are you following me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Very important for us to understand. All right, let's look at this again. Let me go back up here. Verse, but by my name, Yahuwah was I not known to them. Now let's look at this. Once again, now, this is what this is saying over here. I made me not known in the Torah portion of scripture. Then when we go back over in the Abrahamic covenant portions, we see another interpretation, which is what I read in Bereshit 12 and 8. Abraham knew Yahuwah by name since he built an altar to Yahuwah. Bereshit 12 and 8, which we read. So here Yahuwah asked a rhetorical question. By misapplying the comma in the text, the interpreters made it look like Abraham did not know the name, but this was not the case. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Now, we're going to read that verse again because I just want to make sure that I'm bringing this home for everybody to understand what is being said here. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
All right. We'll go back up to verse 3. And I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov as El Shaddai, the mighty power. But by my name, Yahuwah, was I not known to them? And that's a question. That's a question. Are you following me?
Yes.
Not a statement, a question. Just like so many times when we read in Yehukin Aleph 5, where it talks about Yehush. And that's a question. Are you following me?
Yes.
Not a statement. And anytime there is a question and it's taken out of context to be applied as a statement instead of a question, we're going to have problems. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
All right, let me go there real quick. I'm just trying to make sure we understand this. All right, Yehukin and Aleph 5 and verse verse 5. Who is the one who overcomes the world but he who believes that Yahushua is the son of Yahuwah? That's a question, not a statement. Why? Because anytime a question is asked, you can look for the next few verses or the next sentence to be the answer. This is important when we're following following the context, or following that what is in the writings, or following in the context. It's important that we follow that. If we don't follow even the grammar, what ends up happening, we end up getting things misconstrued.
Right.
And when that happens, we find ourselves misinterpreting and misunderstanding the writings. And it is so.
It is so.
All right. Everybody's understanding me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So, all right. Now, once again, this is important. He made himself known. Why did he make himself known? Because we have scripture to back it up. We have scripture to back it up that he made himself known. We have scripture to back up that he didn't come to do away with his instructions. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. Might even say, where is that in? Matthew 5:17. Think not that I've come to do away with the law or his instructions, but to fulfill it. So it's important that we understand that, so that we don't get it misconstrued, or that we don't start following after things that are not scripturally based.
Right.
And find ourselves like chickens with our heads cut off, running all around, all over the place. Are you following?
Yes.
All right, very important. All right, verse 4. Establish my covenant. The past tense stresses the certainty of the accomplishment of Yahuwah's promise to the patriarchs with reference to their descendants. Bereshit 15, and 14. Now, when we come over here, once again, listen at what it says. I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, in which they were strangers. So once again, it's important that we understand that even though there are times that we can read it from different point of views, the bottom line is it's important that we understand what is being conveyed. Are you following me?
Yes.
And understand the basis of that, and understand the root of it. What is being said here? The root of it, if that is being said, is that this is the land that was given to the patriarchs. Right. That is the clue, and that is what needs to be followed, and that is what is needed to be held on to, and not relinquished and let go. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
All right. Verse 5. Heard the groaning. This is an additional reason for Yahuwah's intervention on behalf of Yasharal. The groaning being either their cry of repentance or their agonized appeal for help. They were really catching it. They were going through. They were being treated in a horrible way. But one thing is so important for us to understand in this. Is that Yahuwah heard them when they became what?
Weak.
Not just weak. When they were what? All of them did what?
Came together and cried out.
Came together and cried out. Todah. Why? This is why it's important for us to understand and look at the lives. I follow the history. Now listen what I'm saying. In the writings, in this manner, because we see certain things that took place, and there are certain things that I am fully persuaded in my heart of hearts that's not going to change until we all become of one accord and begin to cry out for the same thing.
Right. Come on.
It doesn't matter. You may have all your bills paid. You may have a home you can live in. You may have all of these things at your fingertip. But the bottom line is still shouldn't be the thing that makes us comfortable, bring us contentment.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
The thing that should bring us contentment is, hey, I want that relationship with the Abba. I'm tired of being in this place of displacement. I'm tired of being displaced.
Right.
I'm tired of not walking in the fulfillment that is mine to be truly known as a daughter of Yahshua or a daughter of Abba Yahuwah. This is important. Why is it important? Because when you got 5 people over here doing one thing, 20 over here doing one thing, 30 over here doing one thing, but we all are not crying out because all of us are not feeling
Right.
the same thing.
Right.
We're all not feeling the same thing. And so until we all start feeling that same way, and I'm not talking about feeling some kind of way, I'm talking about feeling that longing, feeling that desire, feeling that, hey, I just can't get with it. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. If you've ever been away from your home and been away from your bed, the bed that you know you slept in, and you go somewhere else, you be there for a little while and you start thinking, man, this bed, it slept all right for the first couple of days, but this bed just don't sleep like my bed.
Right.
You ready to go. Because you know this is not home. It's just a temporary place.
Right.
Until we get that in our heads and we say, this is just temporary. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to be in my land. Not this land, my land. Are you following me?
Yes.
We're going to continue to see things happen. Till we get tired of seeing our young gunned down in the street. Until we get tired of seeing our Cody left to fend for themselves and they get tired of being single parents. Not because all the time her aunt walked off and left her, but because he was gunned down in the street.
Right.
So the children have to be raised in a single parent home because of that which was done. We see these things consistently. All what people sending the messenger attachments.
Right.
You know, make this go viral. And you're watching folk get roped in the head. You're watching people get beat. Not only are you watching them, but you're watching an innocent bystander, the girlfriend or the wife, saying, hey, y'all don't have to do to him like that. And all they're doing is saying, please stop. And then next thing you know, you got some Johnny Buck come running over there, taking her, throwing her on the ground and putting her in handcuffs because she's saying, hey, don't treat him like that. Or she's saying, calm down, honey. Don't do this, because the more you squirm and the more you do this, the worse it's going to become. Then they turn on her like a pack of wolves. And now you see them skull drugging her. And you're saying, this is stupid.
Right. Right.
And then we always say, man, if I was there, we are there.
Right.
We are there. We may not be right there when it's happening, but we are here. We are there. Whether they're miles away, we are still there. We are still a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And until we get tired of being sick and tired, we're going to continue to be sick and tired. We're going to continue to get them attachments until you tell them, don't send them to me. And then people still send them.
Right. Right.
We're going to still be tired. We're going to still be frustrated. We'll still wake up longing for that. Wake up saying, I don't understand, but I just can't get it right. Let me go back to sleep and wake up maybe and get out of the bed on the other side.
Right.
I feel such a displacement here. Are you following me?
Yes.
Until we start feeling that across the board and our cry become one cry. I'm not talking about 3,000 here. I'm talking about until we all start crying out to Abba Yahuwah for the same thing. The same thing. We're going to continue to see these things happen. That's the thing they had in common. And you have to understand, they were in the same place, but they were still in different locations. But they all were still feeling the same thing. And they cried out to the Abba. And he heard their anguish, and he remembered them. He heard them. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
I am Yahuwah. I can be trusted to esteem my promise. Verse 6. He said, look, therefore say to the children of Yahshua, I am Yahuwah, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Misrim, and I will rescue you from their bondage, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. Now, you have to understand something. When people have been in really bad relationships, and I'm sure many people can attest to this. If you've ever been in really bad relationships, we were just talking about this. We were coming in earlier. A couple of my young adult children, my riding partners, when we were coming in and we were talking about relationships. You have to understand when you've been in a really bad relationship and you get with someone and it's a great relationship, one of the number one things they're constantly doing is what? Trying to convince you that I'm not that guy. I'm not that girl. I'm not the one that burnt you. I'm not the one that treated you this way. Are you following me?
Yes.
Why? Because they want to prove to you that they are not that person. And this is what you have to see Abba Yahuwah was doing to them. Understand, I'm not just telling you this. I'm here to bring you out. Now, mind you, they had not gone through anything like that. When you've never gone through something that has challenged you at the core of who you are, took the wind out of you, and basically just stripped you, you know how much stuff we've been stripped of concerning the knowledge of who we are.
Yes.
The things as a people we've been stripped of, we don't even really know who we are.
Right.
We don't know the power we possess. We don't know the intelligence we possess. We don't know the knowledge we possess because we were stripped of it. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
And so now he's telling them, he's assuring them, because remember, they're mad at Moshe. They're mad at him. They're mad at him because of the things that they have to encounter. So what do you do when you're dealing with a situation like this? You assure them, hey, it ain't gonna happen like that. That's not me. And they don't have to ask you to promise. You promise because you want to.
Right.
Because you want to make sure that they understand you're not going to leave. You're there for the long haul.
Right.
That's important to understand. Are you following me?
Yes.
He said, and I will bring it to pass in verse 5. And then he says down here in verse 6, and that latter part, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. This refers back to the words of the promise, afterwards shall they come out. Bereshit 19 and 14. Bondage, the encumbrance of the burdens placed upon the Yashreelites. I will bring you out. Yahuwah will release them from Mitzrayim and its burdens. I will deliver you. They will no longer be under the domination of tasks. I will redeem you by executing judgments upon the Mitzrayim. I will bring you out as soon as the plagues begin. The bondage will cease. I will deliver you. On the Yom Yasharal passes over the Mitzrayim frontier, I will redeem you at the Red Sea. An outstretched arm, Yahuwah's arm will be extended protectingly over Yasharal until he takes them out of Mitzrayim. Now, once again, this is a promise. Why is it important that we go back over history? Why is it important that we go through this with a fine-tooth comb? Because we need to be assured and we need to be remembered of what he has done for and to our ancestors, so that when we start feeling silly,
Right.
and we start feeling like a rabbit or a frog, you know what frogs do? Frogs bounce out the way. You know what rabbits do? They bounce out of the way. When we want to move out of the way because we're tired, we have to remember that he brought them to that place to bring them out, and remember their ability to endure under that type of pressure. Why? Because he was upholding them.
That's right.
He will uphold us in times of pressure. But we got to remember that. You can never, ever let that escape your heart and mind. Are you following me?
Yes.
Never, ever. Because the moment you do will be the moment that the moment I will be conquered, the moment you will be conquered, the moment our people will be conquered and overthrown.
That's right.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Will take you at Sinai after Yasharal accepted the Torah. You shall know when Yahuwah's wondrous signs leading up to the redemption are acknowledged by all nations, then Yasharal will perceive that he had so acted on their behalf because he is their power. Once again, it's important that we understand these things. Why is it important? Because people are watching us.
Right.
People are watching to see if we believe what we're talking about. People are watching to see, really, do they believe all that they're talking about? Do they really believe they are the chosen people? Do they really believe they are that people?
Right.
Do they really believe, according to Deuteronomy 7 and 6, I believe it is, that they are the treasured, they are the Yahuwah's treasured people? and they are above everybody else. Do they really believe that? You have to understand, people are watching us to see if we believe what we say. That's why so many things come at us. But we have to hold fast and not let go.
That's right.
And it is so.
And do so.
And it is so. I lifted up my hand. A gesture made when taking an oath. It is an anthropomorphic expression. It is an idiom to denote the exercise of power. They hearkened not. Because of their weariness of their work, the people refused to be comforted. Though they had previously expressed their belief in Moshe, now they would not hearken to him, because as the direct result of Moshe's intervention, Pharaoh treated them more harshly. Now you have to understand, if you've ever had a baby or knew somebody that had a colicky baby, those babies holler. Trust me, I had two. And they holler and they holler and they scream. And no matter what you try to do, I tried to feed them, I tried to nurse them, I tried to do everything. They would not be comforted. Are you hearing me? And I had to shake them. We had to walk. We had to bounce them and shake them and try to get them. You start thinking, if you could just poot or burp, maybe we can get some relief. It is just something about that kind of gas bubble that forms in them. And that's why I tell young parents, or mothers, and sometimes people think, they know it all. I had to learn the hard way. You don't take a brand new baby out. I don't care if it's 100 degrees. You don't take them out and their head is open and uncovered.
Right.
Their mold is still open and air gets in there. You don't take a brand new baby out unless he or she has socks on their feet. You don't even go out after having a baby unless you have socks on your feet.
Right.
That's old school. The mothers be like, where you going? Get back up in that room. I'm not one. I never stayed in the bed. I'm sorry. No, I just don't. I didn't stay in the bed. I just couldn't stay in the bed. But having socks on, I will make sure I keep my socks on and I make sure I stay warm. And so you have to make sure you stay warm, and you have to make sure that baby stays warm so they don't get colic. But a baby, anybody understands a colic baby or understands a person that is so depressed and down and out, it is very hard to comfort them. It's very hard to comfort them. And so you have to understand, they didn't want to be comforted because they're like, well, how can he comfort us if things are going to get worse before they get better? That's logic. That's man's logic and reasoning. Look like it should get better. Are you following me?
Yes.
Instead of it getting worse. And this is why he said, look, I'm here to comfort you, to let you know it's going to get rough. But in the end, it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. All right. Impatience of ruach. Shortness of spirit or wind. When a person is full of anguish, his breath comes in short gasps. The Yashraelites feared that Pharaoh would put them to death after Moshe challenges, or after his challenge. So you have to understand, if you've ever been running or if you've ever did any walking, power walking or exercising, and by the time you finish, you're like, oh wait, hold on. I can't go another further. Hold on. Because you're looking and saying, no, I can't do this. And that's the way they were. Many other interpretations of this also says because they were so winded, because he had them literally working day in and day out. And they did not get a break. Remember, his whole purpose was to sabotage the Mishpachah so that no children will be born, but Yahuwah steadily multiplied them. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it's important that we understand that. All right, let's read verse 10, please.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, go in, speak to Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, that he must let the children of Yasharal go out of this land. And Moshe spoke before Yahuwah, saying, the children of Yasharal have not heeded me. How then shall Pharaoh heed me? For I am without eloquence. Then Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, and Aharon, and gave them a command for the children of Yasharal, and for Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, to bring the children of Yasharal out of the land of Mitzrayim. These are the heads of their Abbas Batim, the sons of Reuben, the Bekor of Yasharal, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmel. These are the Mishpachot of Reuben. And the sons of Shimon, Yemuel, Yamin, Ohad, Yachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the Mishpachot of Shimon. And these are the names of the sons of Luai according to their generations: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Luai were 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Libni, and Shimei, according to their Mishpachot. And the sons of Kohath, Amram, Izhar, Hebron, Uziel, and the children in the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. And it is so.
You read all the way to 20? 19, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's the one. Okay. The sons of Merari, Mahali, and Mushi. These are the sons of the Mishpachot of Luai according to their generations. And it is so.
And it is so. All right. Now, let's look at this starting at verse 10. Go in and at verse 11. I'm sorry. Go and speak to Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, that he must let the children of Yasharal go out of his land. And Moshe spoke before Yahuwah, saying, the children of Yasharal have not heeded me. How then shall Pharaoh heed me, for I am without eloquence? Now, once again, you have to understand his whole problem was that, look, I can't go in here and speak to this man. This man throw some words on me, have me baffled, and have me up here not able to deal with him. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
There was one saying in the writings of in the scroll of Yasher, once again, that he put his hand in his mouth from hot coal, and it messed up the top of his mouth, it messed up his tongue and all that stuff, which caused his tongue to swell, which caused him not to be able to speak. But you have to understand something. I'm persuaded if that was something that had happened to him, they would have put him out of the house because he would have been a defect. There would have, even though it may not have been a birth defect, it still would have affected him being the prince or a prince of Mitzrayim. Are you following me?
Yes.
So when Moshe says, I am not a man of eloquent speech, he said, look, I don't want to stand up before this man and this man says something and I'm talking to him and, and I don't know really what to say or how to address him.
Right.
And I fully believe and firmly believe in my heart of hearts, this was what his problem was. And then because he had not been there, so it's kind of like, well, this man here, I don't want to talk to him and I don't want to make things worse because I don't know how to answer him and I really don't know how to deal with him. This is why I believe many times in our communities, we have those that raise up and cause themselves to be spokesmen. Now, I'm not knocking what people do. Are you following me?
Yes.
Because if that's what you believe Abba Yahuwah has called you to do, I support you 100%. Because there are those out there that can go and talk with people. There are those that can have eloquent of speech and know how to go in and out among those of the higher echelon. They know how to convey their words. They know how to talk with them. They know how when they throw out those $50 words, they're not sitting up there looking like, come again. Hold on, give me a minute. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up Google. Let me see what that word then. Can you tell me how to spell it? You have those. And once again, just because you can't do it or I can't do it does not make my ministry and what I do of less importance.
Right.
Are you hearing me? Because everybody didn't go. The elders were supposed to go, but they didn't go because they were afraid. Look, I'll be a fly on the wall. I'll be there to be the support. I don't have to open up my mouth. Just let me come in and pray if necessary. But are you following me? Problem comes in is when we do it for the wrong reason. When now you want to go in there and do it because now you're trying to prove a point and you want your name to be spread all around.
Right.
Instead of the name of the Abba. And so here he says, I can't do this because he felt like he could not speak with with Pharaoh. Now you have to understand, there's probably some conversations and some stuff being said in there that probably had him sitting there thinking, well, he said that, so how do we, what do we do? Harun, he probably thinking in his mind, whatever. Harun. He comes in and he says whatever he has to say. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And so when it's all said and done, the bottom line is that he had no problem.
Right.
Because whatever Moshe conveyed to him, he's like, okay, come on with it. I don't have no problem. We're going to speak this thing and we're going to say what has to be done. And so there was no problem. Why? Because he was the spokesman for Moshe. He was a spokesman. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important that we understand that he was a spokesman. All right. Now, once again, now he goes in. Now, these are the families. We look at the families. And he's saying they're not going to listen to me. In verse 13, then Yahoo spoke to Moshe and Haran and gave them command for the children of Yasharal and for Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, to bring the children of Yasharal out of the land of Mitzrayim. These are the heads of their Abbas, Batim, the sons of Reuben, the Bekor of Yasharal, meaning the firstborn, Hanak, Palu, Hezron, Carmi. These are the of Reuben. These are the families. Now you have to understand, at this time they have multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. We're talking about a nation of peoples. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Because they have now become an extended. They are large. And the sons of Shimon, Yamul, Yamin, Ahad, Yakin, Zohar, Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the mishpakat of Shimon. So he's giving all of those. Why? Because he had to make sure that there was a count to know who's going to be coming out of there. Are you following me?
Yes.
And these are the names of the sons of Luai according to their generations: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Luai were 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Livani, and Shimei, according to their mishpakat families. And the sons of Kohath, Amram, Ishhar, Hebron, and Uziel. And the years of the life of the Kohath were 133 years. Why is it important to understand all of this? Because, once again, we're looking at multiplication and how the families or the mishpakat grew. And the sons of Merari, Mahalai, and Mushai, these are the mishpakat of Luai according to their generations. And then we go into verse 20. And Amram took for himself Jochebed, the daughter of his father's brother, as wife, and she bore him Haran and Moshe. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. Septuagint. Sister here can denote a distant relative, not just direct bloodline. The Septuagint reading is correct. Cousin marriages were and are common in the East and are perfectly normal. Polyhistoric or polyhistor and Demetrius, historians, make her to be his cousin and not aunt. So this is kind of giving you a view of he married his cousin, a distant cousin. Back then, once again, that was something that was acceptable and allowed. Here, not so. I hear you.
Yes.
And you could kind of, to a degree, now understand what I'm about to say, and like I'm saying, don't shoot me down for saying this, but because of the bloodlines being so contaminated and really mixed, you really don't know, because you may marry a cousin who married somebody else outside of it. Now, by the time you marry that cousin really is not a real cousin. That's a cousin, you know how they say, removed twice, 3 and 4 times, all that kind of stuff. So, these are type of things. But back then, things were not looked upon as they're looked upon to young.
Right.
You know, a cousin was somebody, just a person. Now, you know, family or mishpachah, you grow up with that person, you be all around and be like, hey, fool, you my you my cousin. You know, you mishpachah. You know, you deal with one another in that nature, in that caliber. Are you following me?
Yes.
And so it is frowned upon now, yes. And there are, I believe, numerous reasons as to why. But once again, it's important that we understand that it was acceptable in that time. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right. Now, Zohar, verse 16, the years of the life of the Lewites. I'm sorry, yeah. No, let's look at Zohar. Zohar to be identified with Zerah. And that's in Bamidbar 26 and 13. Reason why? Because sometimes when we read and we start thinking, okay, what happened to that person? Sometimes it's in the name, the spelling of the name that changes, but it still be the same person.
Right.
And so just to make sure that we know that that person was not taken out. Hohad or Hohad. This part of Shimeon's family died in Mitzrayim, or the wilderness, as they are not enumerated in Bamidbar 20 and 6 and 12. Years of the life of Luai. Luai's age at death is given out of esteem for Moshe. It is recorded because so long as even one of Yaakov's sons lived, no slavery was imposed upon the Yasharites of Yaakov's sons. Luai was the last survivor. So that's why they gave out his age, and also up until he was the last one to die, they did not impose slavery. But once again, when you have another generation that does not carry the values and does not esteem or adhere to those instructions, are y'all following me?
Yes.
And you start seeing change, and you start seeing things that come in and take a whole new spin. The sons of Kohath. In verses 20 and 22, the names are enumerated of Amram's children of Issar's and Uzziel's, but not of Hebron, because they do not figure in the later history. His mishpachah is alluded to in Bamidbar 26 and 58. Years of the life of Kohath. Of the three brothers, only Kohath's age at death is given, because he was the direct ancestor of Moshe and Haran. And so that's important for us to understand too. His Abba's sister. Usually in the Bible, Dada denotes the Isha of one's blood uncle. Luai 18 and 14. Here it means a father's or an Abba's sister. Jochebed was the daughter of Luai and sister of Kohath. So the wife of one's blood uncle. Here it means a Abba's sister. Jochebed was the daughter of Luai and the sister of Kohath. So that was family, close family. Are you following me?
Yes.
But it was acceptable. And that's what Abba Yahuwah allowed. All right. Let us continue reading, please.
Starting at verse 20. And Amram took for himself Jochebed, the daughter of his Abba's brother, as Isha. And she bore him Aharon and Moshe. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. And the sons of Izhar, Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri, and the sons of Uziel, Mishael, Elzaphan, and Zithri. And Aharon took to himself Elisheba, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Nachshon, as Isha. And she bore him Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And the sons of Korah, Asir, Elkanah, Abiasaph. These are the mishpachot of the Korahites. And Eleazar, Aharon's son, took for himself one of the daughters of Putiel as Isha, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the Lewites according to their mishpachot. These are Aharon and Moshe, to whom Yahuwah said, Bring out the children of Yasharal from the land of Mitzrayim, according to their armies. These are the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, to bring out the children of Yasharal from Mitzrayim. These are the same Moshe and Aharon. And it came to pass on the Yom when Yahuwah spoke to Moshe in the land of Mitzrayim, that Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, I am Yahuwah. Speak to Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, all that I say to you. You want to read verse 30 as well?
Mm-hmm.
And Moshe said before Yahuwah, Behold, I do not have eloquent speech, and how shall Pharaoh heed me? And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, very important. I know sometime when you go through the genealogy and you start talking about the names and so forth, sometimes we think, okay, it's just the names. No, you have to understand, it's very important to understand the names because you will see them again in the writings further up and later on into the settings. The reason it's important to know because we need to know whose son this was. We need to know what tribe they were from. Because most of the time, once again, you have cousins fighting. You have cousins acting up. And truth be told, it's just a known fact. Cousins is going to always fight. We're going to find something to scrap about or squabble about. And so this is important for us to understand. All right. Now, excuse me. Now the years of the life of Amram. His age at death is stated out of respect for his sons Moshe and Haran. The sons of Ishtar. Their names are given because of the role which one of them, Korah, played in later times. The sons of Uziel. Their names are specified because they attended later to the burial of two of Haran's sons, Waera 10 and 4. So once again, it's important to see the setup and see how everybody had a specific part in doing even when they came out. Are you following me?
Yes.
So once again, to see the setup is just phenomenal of how these things go. Once again, if you were ever in Christianity, you understand if you were ever in a position where you were a minister or you sat under a minister where they tell you to do the 5-point preaching, where you have the 5-minute sermons, the 10-minute sermons, or you do a 5-point or 3-point, you do the introduction, then you do the body, and then from the body you do the conclusion. So you get in there and you quickly get out. You preach a message already out of a message that's already tailored for us as a people.
Right.
And so we're seeing here, once again, these things are important to us, but we have to renew our minds to understand why it's important to us.
Right.
And we are not just calling out their names just for the sake of saying, okay, these are their names and you need to know them just to know them. No, you need to know them. So when you see or come across their names again in the writings, you can identify with what tribe they are from. And basically you can also kind of figure out their age too.
Right.
That they were not, many of them were not spring chickens in the sense they were not real young, but they were old enough to understand coming out of Mitzrayim.
Right.
And seeing the power of Abba Yahuwah in operation. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right. Very important. What's on this thing? All right, verse 23, Eliashib. Here scripture mentions the name of Haran's wife in verse 25. It further alludes to the wife of Eleazar in order to invest their respective children, with special esteem. It being an old custom to cite royal personages by their mother's name. And we can see that in Melachim Aleph 15 and 10. Sisters of Nasham. The name of Elisheba, brother, is here given in order to stress that she came of a great family and was worthy of becoming the Ima, a priest. And further to point the lesson that he who is about to take a Isha should investigate carefully who her brothers are. It's funny to me. No, it's not funny in the sense of funny, but I mean it's not comical funny, but it's funny in the sense of if you ever notice whenever people in this time start talking about courting, the first thing they do, especially if a bot or a daughter, a bot or a Cody has brothers, the first thing they start trying to do is figure out who those brothers are. They do. You know, back in our time, you just kind of, you got, you know, you dealt, but you didn't really go out your way and, you know, try to get really in depth learning about that person. But now, and two, also I attribute it to walking in truth. Because when you're walking in truth, you know, you start looking, okay, we're all in truth, so I need to see who they are. I need to know what type of people they are, and that's a great thing. It really is to know if they have brothers, because everybody does not have siblings, but it is a great thing if they do to get to know them, because that's going to be your mishpachah. Are you hearing me? So it's great to know who they are, and then also know what is their tolerance with how you treat their Cody. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
It's important to understand these things. All right. Verse 24. The sons of Korah, they are accorded the esteem of being mentioned by name, as they did not take part in their Abba's revolt. It being stated, notwithstanding the sons of Korah died not. Bemidbar 26:2. Because we know Korah, he died. And all those that were foolish with him died. But there were those that did not die, because it's like, you're going to do that, you're going to do that on your own. You know how you got some mishpachah, you be like, if you be the fool, you're going to be the fool on your own, because I'm not following you out in that.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. You go out there by yourself. Patil, verse 25, traditionally identified with Jethro or Yosef. The heads. Moshe was the head of the Levites and Haran of the priests. Verse 26. These are that Haran and Moshe. The narrative interpreted by the foregoing genealogy is now resumed. Here, Haran's name figures Moshe before Moshe, while elsewhere in Scripture, Moshe's name is cited first. This is done to indicate that they were both of equal merit. In other words, he wasn't greater than Moshe. They both carried the same merit. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And it's just that he was willing to do what Moshe was too afraid to do, and that is to stand and talk up and be a voice, because he just felt like he just couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And it could be because he had already dealt with Pharaoh and knew his qualities and knew the type of, not that it was the same Pharaoh, but when you talk about Pharaoh, once again, we're not talking about so much a person per se. We're talking about the office. We're talking about the caliber and how a person carries themselves. So when you have that and you understand, then you know, okay, you're not just talking to a person per se when you're dealing with some of these people, you're dealing with them in that office. Right. And people tend to deal with you from their office or their position in that office instead of just dealing with you as a person to person. Right. You're basically dealing with them in that office. And if you've ever dealt with people, you think about it when you deal with people, especially no matter where you go across the board, the highway department, I think they go and hand people they can find and say, we want you to work at the highway department because you would make a great customer service rep or customer service. So when you go in there, I don't care where you are in the world, they all have that nasty disposition. You go and say, hey, I got a question for you. Once you get your number, you go up there. Fill this. I said, but before I do that, can I ask you, well, what is it, this, that, and the other? And you start thinking, hold up, pump the brakes now. You ain't giving me nothing. Anything that I come up here with, I have to pay for. Exactly. I know when I was going to take my eye exam. And, when you go in, you have to read the thing. Now, that machine have been messing up all day. And they going to put me on the raggediest machine they have. And I'm already praying, please, Yahuwah, let me see these little tiny, tiny letters up in here. And I'm doing it. And I read off the first line. She said, that's not the right one. I said, but that's the one came up. And she said, well, that's not the right one. So the girl next to her said, wait a minute, that one's been messing up. So she said, okay, wait. Well, let me fix it. And I'm like, okay, now you don't be trying to fail me thinking I can't see. Right. That's on y'all part. But they get the worst people with the worst attitudes in there. Yep. And you start thinking, hold up, you ain't even got to be nasty with me. Then some of them will lie to you and tell you, well, if you come back tomorrow, you say, but I already owe this fee. When I come back, is it going to be more? No, it ain't going to be more. Then you get in the line next to them and you start thinking, but they told me. They will ignore you and act like you ain't never said nothing to them. And you like, I was just there yesterday. I just talked to you. So once again, they're really, really, they're really obnoxious and nasty people. I hope that none of you all work there. And if you do, I pray that this will be a time for you to check your attitude. Because many of them are very nasty. But once again, this is how they do. Are you following me?
Yes.
And so I believe that his possibly his dealings with the office and with the dealing with the person in the office of Pharaoh caused him to really feel like, I can't do this. You know how when you deal with people, you're like, no, if they hold that office, I just won't fool with them. Why? Because they got to act like this and they got to do this and they got to do it this way and they got to say this and they got to say that. And sometimes it is a turnoff because you start thinking, as long as you walk in that office, that's where you're at, especially when you're dealing with police. Mm-hmm. We were out last Layla. And there was an incident between some other people. And so I pull in because I'm going to grab some kerosene. Right. And so my son says, he's asking, is everything okay? Because we don't want to be pulling in the middle of a situation. And then he said, just go ahead and park. I'm like, really, dude? You ain't even got to be nasty like that. We're just asking you, is it okay? So while we are moving forward, we won't be in the way. Then the person, and now you have to understand, this was I don't know what he was. I think he was Chinese and melanated. And then there was a melanated brother beside him, and he was looking at him like, you don't even have to act like that. You're acting all wired up and all like you just ready to pull your gun out to be stupid. Right. Then the lady pulls up and she just pulling the parking space straight. I mean, he was just so mean and nasty. I'm like, this just doesn't make any sense for people to be nasty. But when people put them badges on and put them blue suits on or black suits with them two little pants on, they start acting like now they are something more than human. Mm-hmm. They do. You have those that are not like that. There was a few we knew that was really, cool. And you start thinking, this suit, it's like Venom. They put on Venom. Venom takes over. The suit takes over. And for those that don't have the willpower to fight that urge to be obnoxious and mean and ornery, they play right into it. And so here, the thing is, he was doing that. But y'all know I just thought about something. Walk with me with this real quick. This just kind of popped up in my ruach. Did y'all notice if anybody ever seen Venom? Have you seen it? If you didn't see it, I won't say it's not worth watching, but I saw it and I enjoyed it. But did you notice whenever symbiotes, or are they called symbiotics? Symbiotes. When this thing got on him, how the thing to get the thing that it hated was sound, high pitched sound. Yes. With that, the reason why that thing could not have ever been on really a melanated person is because of our vibration. Mm-hmm. We would have naturally been disqualified for it to be a host for because of our vibration. Yeah. Because see, you give off a sound that everybody can't hear, but I bet you he would have heard it. Right. And it wouldn't have been able to stay on. That's how come they couldn't use us, because they know naturally we are a vibrant people, and wherever we go, we always change the atmosphere. Watch this, whether it's great or bad, we change the atmosphere. So those things could not have gotten on us, because it wouldn't have been able to stay. Be like, what is that I hear? I can't hold on to this. I can't stay on this. But the only way he could get that thing off of him, he had to go to a church that had a bell, and every time that thing rung, it kept on. Once again, you have to understand, you have a sound on the inside of you. That's right. We have a vibration on the inside of us. Are you hearing me? Yes. Wouldn't have been able to stay on us. All right, I just thought I would kind of throw that out there. That was kind of on my mind. And it is so. It is so. All right. Now, All right, it's showing there that they both were equal in merit. A further reason may be that Haran is here mentioned first as he was the senior, but where reference is made to the mission of the two brothers, Moshe's name takes precedence. Because he received the call first, special attention here is here directed to their names, since Moshe and Harun were the two outstanding men of their tribes. So it's important that we understand that they were the most important. Why? Because the mission rested within them. In other words, if this mission fails,
Right.
it is because they have failed. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. All right. Their host, that is, according to their tribes, the community in its entirety is met. Verse 27, these are they, the two brothers carried out loyally the mission entrusted to them. They were worthy to address Pharaoh and be listened to by him. So once again, they were both worthy. That tells me and should show us too that in spite of the conditions that was going on, Harun was able to maintain his walk with the Abba. Are you following me?
Yes.
He was able to maintain his walk. He was able to remain, even though in the midst, secluded from everything else that was taking place. He was able to maintain his integrity. So when it came down for him to do what he needed to do, he was ready. Are you following me?
Yes.
He was able to do so. So when the two brothers, the dynamic duo, were able to get together and make this happen, it happened in a great way. And this is a great thing to be able to see two brothers working together. Watch this. Even though when Moshe was old enough to leave, he ran away. When he was small, he was only around Harun a little bit of time until he had to go back to the palace. So now you have two brothers that are separated, but when they come back together, and they hug and they kiss and embrace one another, they work together like they worked together for all their lives. That's what the anointing will do. That's what the Ruach will do. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
That's what the Ruach will do. Now, mind you, if she can do this with two brothers that were separated, how much more do you believe that the Ruach HaKodesh of Abba Yahuwah can do for us? And we're right with each other all this time. Access. We got to give her access to our lives. And not just talk it, but do it. Because talk is cheap. And it is so.
And it is so.
Moshe and Harun. Here Moshe's name is mentioned first as due to his premier position. Verse 28. The agreement, this is an agreement with these two agree. E cannot account for this verse in its present position, and neither can AJ, but N attaches it to the preceding verses, and these are the people that are talking about this verse. These are that Moshe and Haran at the time when Yahuwah spoke. That is, all right, let's look at verse 28. Verse 28, and it reads, and it came to pass on the Yom, when Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe in the land of Mitzrayim. Now, if you notice, there's a comma there. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
Verse 28. If you notice in there, there's a comma. Do you see that comma?
Yes.
Before you go to verse 29?
Yes.
Now, if you look there, that should not be verse 29. That should be all of verse 28. It says, and it came to pass on the Yom, when Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe in the land of Mitzrayim, that Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, I am Yahuwah thy power. Speak thou unto Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, all that I speak unto thee. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
I believe that's a period right there with after unto thee. Now, that's where it finishes. But when you start adding and you break it up and make it like it's a whole nother thought and not one thought, this is where, once again, issues come about, because you don't know how to, sometimes you don't know how to interpret or how to explain that when you're trying to break it up and make it two things when it only represents or stands for one thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Verse 30, and it says, And Moshe said unto Yahuwah, behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall Pharaoh hearken unto me? Once again, you have to understand his whole disposition was, how can I go to this man and speak to this man when I'm not on his level and I'm not educated enough to be able to speak? Remember when Yahuwah told him, he said, I will be your mouthpiece. I will be the words for you. I will speak for you. But Moshe, still fearing that he would be incapable of handling that task, now Yahuwah says, I will bring Harun into your life, and he will be the one that will be the spokesman. Are you following me?
Yeah.
He will be the spokesman for you, and this is how this will go out. This is why it's so important that we understand whenever Abba Yahuwah gives us something to do, whenever he gives us something to do and he say he's going to do it, I don't care if it's at the last minute that when you open your mouth, you see a change, you have to believe him.
Mhm.
We have to believe him because he's not going to give us something to do and then let us fail in it.
Yes.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
He's not going to do that. So it's important that we understand that he gave them the task and it was able to be accomplished. Once again, I believe it was his ability, because he felt like he did not have these intelligent skills, or he was not intelligent enough, and that he was not well versed. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And so I believe this was why he said, don't send me, please. I don't want to sit up there and talk to these people. I don't want to sit up here and talk to this man. But once again, it's important that we see that even though he did not want to be the spokesman, he still was able to do what was necessary to bring about the mission and the purpose of Abba Yahuwah in the hearing of the people. Now, once again, you have to understand what didn't help it either was when the people wouldn't listen to him and didn't want to obey what he was saying. And as whether you are a a witness, one thing you have to be ever so careful of is the opinion of people. Everybody has one, just like everybody has a nose.
Yeah.
And everybody's opinion, never let opinion shape or unshape or detract you or cause you to be distracted from the purpose of Abba Yahuwah.
Right.
People are going to have opinions, but never let opinions be the authority over your life.
Right.
Because the moment you allow that to happen is the moment that now you begin to believe and trust in people and not in Abba Yahuwah. Sure, they may say things about you. Who they talked about Yahuwah. They talk about Yahuwah. Are y'all following?
Yes.
But we still have to be committed and move on. When you have people that do not have or show any kind of shame of how they govern and carry themselves, those are people you just have to keep on moving, pray for, and keep on moving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to do. Are you following me?
Yes.
And whatever you have to say to a person, never try to bedazzle or razzle dazzle people. If you know you where you are and you're speaking to a people, you speak to them from where you are, long as it's truth.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Because when you start trying to become and trying to, address people like somebody else addresses them, that's when you're going to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have those great big words to say to people, say and use the words you have. Because when it's all said and done, you want the message of Abba Yahuwah through his son, Yahushua Mashiach, to be conveyed.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. So we're going to stop right here. Yahuwah willing, we will take up with chapter 8. We have chapter 8 and chapter 9 tomorrow that we will take up from. And chapter 8 and chapter 9 that we will take up from, Yahuwah willing. I pray that the rest of your Layla will be sweet and that Abba Yahuwah will baruch you with his shalom throughout the Layla. I pray that what you have heard thus far will continue to encourage you to maintain, to keep your head up, keep your shoulders squared, and keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because you can't go wrong. When we allow him to lead us and guide us. I am Aliyah Yasharal, and I am the leader of Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Break Belief congregation located in South Carolina. I want you to remember here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Bread Belief congregation, this is the place where the Torah does the body excellent. Until next time, may Abba Yahuwah Baruch Atah and keep you in his shalom until we meet again. Also, I want you to remember that you've been touched by Champion TV, a place where the champions reside. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.